Way down the audience.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the June 3rd Board of Selectmen meeting. Our first selectman, Matt Hoey, is out of state, so I will be chairing today. And if we may start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Charlie?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. So I'd like to add an agenda item. We have a sign request. I'd like to just tack in under new business, if I can get a motion. It's a sign to advertise Martine's Wake Up Picnic on June 14th.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, so we'll take that up at new business. Anyone here to speak on any item on the agenda, public forum? No? Okay. If we may then go to approval of the minutes. Anyone have any comments? Or I guess you take a motion first.
Move to approve.
Second.
Second. Okay, any comments or questions? I had one item under 9.3 and 9.4. It looks like the same motion, Tracy, with regard to certain HVAC purchases in two different buildings. So one was Train, one was Johnson Controls. We can get that squared away. Thanks. Anybody else?
No.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Next item is our Human Resource Director, Mitch Goldblatt, to consider and take possible action on Pension Committee recommendations for award RFQ 3/1819, pension and other post-employee benefits actuarial services. Thank you, Mitch.
Good morning, Lou. How are you?
Good.
Morning, members.
Morning.
The pension committee put out this RFQ with the help of the purchasing department and received half dozen bids, proposals, I should say. We had a subcommittee get together and make a recommendation on the on three finalists. In fact, Steve Copps is a member of the pension committee, is here. He was on that committee as well as the final decision. Interviewed three of the finalists. There were some concerns about the pricing. We sent Mary Jane put together a spreadsheet for you that you have this morning. The recommended vendor is Milliman, our current vendor. We also got back to Milliman because there were some concerns about their pricing, which was significantly reduced, as you can see from your schedule there. This morning, the pension committee met and made a unanimous recommendation of the members present to bring Milliman to your board this morning and recommend that Milliman be continue as our actuary for the pension purposes.
Can you expand on the concerns about the pricing? Did they?
The concerns was just the fact that of the three finalists, they had a significantly higher price than what the other two were. Mary Jane did some investigation and found out some reasons for the lower prices from others, as well as our discussion with Milliman. We're going to be paying, it looks like, probably less than actually what we're paying today with Milliman, based on the negotiated pricing. And also, if you look at some of the other bids, they were definitely in line with some of the others that have some of the other market in Connecticut as well. So
I don't understand what.
Yeah.
It sounded like you had a concern.
concern was just that it was, of the three finalists, that theirs was so much higher, and we had concern basically because of bringing it to this board, and concerned that the board would feel.
Millman was higher, but we're going to be paying less.
Paying less than we did we're paying less than we would under the current contract that we have with Milliman.
Once they came back with a lower
Yes,
price.
exactly.
Which is this 46,000?
46,900.
And we've been using them successfully for how long?
I'd say probably over 20 years. There was different principals that went from a different firm that became Milliman, but I'd say it's been with Milliman at least the last 15 years. We've also, excuse me, just clarify also that the Milliman office that we've been working with for this past time has been with New York. There's also Milliman in Windsor that we're aware of. What they did was, instead of having two quotes from Milliman, they actually combined forces. And we'll be dealing with both Windsor and New York, depending on the services. So they're putting together the best of both worlds for us by giving us the personnel and the services of the Windsor office, as well as the personnel and services of the New York office.
I must say, from my experience in negotiations, Milliman in the past has been very responsive, because many of the negotiations involve pension issues, and we relied on them to come up with, information that we needed during those negotiations, and they were very responsive and helpful.
Okay.
Good. There's, another reason why this is the best of both worlds is I think there's value to having a fresh set of eyes looking at this sort of thing from time to time. But if we're actually going to be using different personnel from a different office for part of it,
Yes.
you sort of accomplish that.
Yeah, we will be.
Yeah.
We will be. I can speak from personal experience. The Windsor office I've dealt with the town of Orange, and they have worked with Milliman for a number of years as well from the Windsor office. So I think there's a comfort level there with both the New York office that we've been comfortable with, the Windsor office that other communities have been comfortable with. And as Charles has said, they're very professional, and when we've needed them to come through with in the negotiations, coming through with actuarial studies for us to determine the cost proposals, they have come through for us as well. So it's and so this morning this recommendation was brought back to the pension committee that voted to recommend to you to take action this morning to award the bid of 3-1819 to Milliman for our pension actuary.
Right.
Based on all of that, I'll go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, I was gonna say, so this is the recommendation, the committee's had it, Steve, had a
Yes.
chance to review this, and everybody?
I'll move.
I'll second.
Great, thanks. We have something?
Yeah, and just my interject for a minute. I would be most comfortable because there's been a negotiation from the original bids. And I wasn't aware of that, and that's fine, but I think just to be perfectly safe on it, I'd like to run it by our outside counsel who guides us in this. So if you could table it until I get that advice.
Can I possibly make a recommendation that, based on Pam's concerns, that you, if your motion is to pass this, to pass it with the condition of that, because
That's fine.
the concern is that come July 1st, we won't have a actuary because the,
That's fine.
yeah, so. is that
Jeff
right?
will get back to me
Yeah,
today.
okay,
Just
so,
like
so
that.
if we make it conditional on that, that'd be great.
I'll
because
move
we're-
it
we're-
on with that condition.
This would be
I just
effective
wanna
July
make sure I
1st.
understand. The condition is Pam, your concern is that after the bids were open, we negotiated with Milliman.
To reduce the price, once they saw the other, I don't wanna elaborate too much.
Yeah.
So, yes, it's the fact that you've now negotiated a bid that was.
Okay, but we have the right to do those kinds
Well,
of.
that's the question. That sometimes you do and sometimes you don't. So I need to get that clarified.
I think we did that because it was an RFQ, request for qualifications. We chose Milliman based on their qualifications at first, and then worked with them to
Well, we're not
ensure that we got the
yeah.
best price.
So we're just gonna have a conditional
All right,
approval
right, let me
subject
just
to.
run it by outside
Okay.
counsel, maybe it's
Labor
fine,
council
but I just
approving that.
have a little bit of
No
concern.
reason
That's fine.
not to.
So can I just ask, I mean, there
Sure.
were two lower bidders, even with the revised numbers. Why, well, three lower bidders, actually. Am I reading that correctly?
Well, we don't know who the three finalists were.
Well, the three finalists are the first three listed on your list there. The one on the right was not considered responsive for the needs of the subcommittee.
Okay,
The other,
so that's out.
So yeah, so you see the first three there. And it was just I think after, I don't want to speak, Steve is here, I don't want to speak for the committee, except to say that the committee felt after meeting with the three finalists that their recommendation was to go with Milliman, then looked at the pricing afterwards, all right, and said, we want to go with Milliman, but we're concerned about the additional, the range of pricing, and wanted to bring it down for everyone's sake, and yours, the people
Yeah.
that pay these bills, and taxpayers. So I just wanted to, and make sure that was competitive yet a responsible bid.
Sure. So, I mean, price is not absolutely everything, especially with a service contract
It
like
is,
this.
it is not.
And the quality of the services provided and their experience is outweighing that slight price differential, in the
I believe
opinion
so.
of the committee and
I
yourself.
believe the committee would
Right.
feel that way, Steve.
Right. So the three that we were interviewing, right away, from looking at the proposal of one of them, I noticed that their brochure included with the proposal indicated that they, that I think it was something like a third of their new business was out of state. And that to me was a red flag.
Okay.
And that was my second choice of the three, but that was a red flag. And I think, and through what Mary Jane has learned today, or over the,
Up till today.
since our last meeting,
Yeah.
there is a concern. It is a legitimate concern. And the other one, I don't remember particularly what my concern was, but like I say, it was my third choice.
Okay.
And I think we were in agreement in the committee.
All right. Mitch, anything else?
Yeah, nothing else.
All right, great, thanks. Any other questions, comments? All right, all in favor of approving Millman at 46,900?
With the condition.
With the condition that it gets checked by
Aye.
outside counsel?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, any opposed? No? Passed, thanks, Mitch.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Steve.
Thank you.
Brings our Public Works Director, Tom Fillion, to discuss and take possible action on the contract, which we've had in the past with Durham Middlefield Transfer Station to grind wood chips at the brush and leaf disposal site.
Good morning.
We all call it stump dump.
Yes. I'm recommending Durham Middlefield again. The main reason being that the relationship that we established, just going back to last year, we got into a little thing where we had a huge pile, way more than what we would normally have. And they worked with us. There was no issues whatsoever, time-wise, money-wise. So technically their profit margin was down like $4,200 last year to do us the favor. So I again would like to, stick with them at $400 an hour, not to exceed $15,000. The pile this year, I'm estimating about 5,500 yards that we'll get out of it of mulch. So it's a double grind. And I think that, working along with another town is establishing a good relationship will help us in the future too. So that's why I'm sticking with them.
Okay.
So moved.
Second.
I just have a comment.
Yeah?
We're not at the vote yet.
No.
No.
You have to make a motion first.
Is the double grind cost effective? I mean, is enough of it getting picked up and used by citizens and that type of thing? Or is it basically in and out by its fill? And if it's just filled, is the double grind necessary, cost effective?
Okay, one time we didn't double grind when we went with Runner Brook because we ran out of money and they didn't finish the job. And that was totally unusable stuff. It ends up being like 18 inches long.
Okay.
No one's ever gonna use it.
Okay.
This way here, the ability to use it after the double grind is just like any other mulch that you would buy.
Yeah,
So-
no, I've seen the piles up there, and some years, we have quite the storage pile. Some other years it disappears,
Right.
which is what we want actually. But
Exactly.
I didn't know if
I see your point, and if it comes down to that where
it ends
it's
up
a
being
money
just filled
issue.
somewhere.
Yeah, we can, and I also wanna do some work down there. It's gonna take us a little bit of time to
reorganize it. yeah.
reorganize down there, and which maybe one time I will be able to do that. Because I'll be able to use it within that area.
And Tom, it bears mentioning for folks in the audience, who can come and get this finished mulch
Any-
product? And how do they do it?
Anybody in town, any resident in town can come get this mulch. We won't load though because of the liability along with it. But you're open there, the pile is, free access to get to it. So anybody in town that would like to take any of the mulch they're welcome to it.
So they back up a pickup truck, bring a shovel, and
Yep.
they're good to
Yeah,
go.
Or even,
Yeah.
5-gallon bucket, I've seen people.
Yeah.
Right.
Believe me, I like to see it go, because we have plenty at this point.
Well, it's a nice service that,
Yeah.
I'm not sure everybody is aware of, and
Okay.
it's another helpful thing that you guys do, so thanks.
Okay.
Is there another way to publicize that, I wonder?
I don't know. Memo to Matt.
Well, or maybe just a sign to let people know that are coming and
Okay.
dumping, that they realize
Website.
that the chips
Yeah.
are there for
Okay.
the taking. I mean, that probably would make some sense.
Because we do have an attendant there, so
Yeah.
all they would have to do is ask the
Yeah,
attendant.
but some
if
people
you
wouldn't
want-
think to ask, and
Right.
so
I
a sign
immediately
might
clear that
say,
it's
hey,
free.
Okay, I will make
Here's-
a sign and put up a sign there, that's no
And
problem.
no handwriting on the rocks.
No, this will be a sign.
All right, I think, we had a vote, we definitely had a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed, no? Thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Park and Rec Director Rick Maynard to discuss and take possible action to contract with company for transportation for camp and services.
Morning.
Good morning.
So this is largely for our Get Out, Way Out travel camp. It's for young teens, like sixth grade through 8th grade, I think it is. And I just want to say that program has grown so much over the years. We used to get 8 to 20 kids. Now we're more like 50, 60 in that range. 40 I think is the minimum we have now. So the fees that are going to pay for this they're built into the program. And so it comes out of that program account, and that's the cost of the program included in the buses. But Ellen, our recreation supervisor, got 3 quotes. They're $11,512.50, $13,312.95, and $22,551. Part of the specification required to have air conditioning. And we talk about kids, going to Six Flags or Swamiket or something in the summer, you gotta have air conditioning. And so the company that we wanted to go with is National Express Durham School Services for $11,512.50. And again, they're the ones, they were the lowest quote, and they have the air conditioning.
And also the 50-passenger bus.
They hold
It's a
more
50-passenger
kids, yeah.
bus, correct. Yeah, the other one, the Guilford system only had 44, and they, with air conditioning, their cost was higher. So what we will use them for, though, the local services, occasionally if we have there's a thunderstorm coming up, we have the other kids down at the beach, we've got to get them out of there quick. We just call the local bus company, and they've been very helpful to help us get them out and move them to Cox School.
Okay, and that money is all coming from program fees?
Correct, it's built into the cost of the program.
Anybody? Questions? Do I have a motion?
I'll move it.
Second.
Any further discussion? No? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? No. Thanks. You have a doubleheader today, so
Yeah.
tell us about the trash and recycle barrels. which
Okay,
we've
well,
been
good.
hearing a lot lately.
Yeah, so here's a good thing is that the small unit, the Perkins truck, the one we talked about a while back with the little dump body is gonna go on the back of our pickup or dump truck. We're supposed to get that this week. And the trash truck is due in about the 2nd week of July. So we're pretty much on target there. But barrels, so now that we have to get barrels, and I've always said that we were gonna have to purchase some barrels, so I solicited quotes from 5 companies, got 4 responses. And they're kind of all over the place. 46.91 was the lowest, then 56.70 per barrel. This is 56.75, 67.25, and 86. And I'm sorry I don't have this literature for you folks because
Yeah.
I got this all late Friday afternoon. But I do want to just show you. This is the one that I want to go with, the Schaefer Company. I mean, they sent detail specifications and what the barrels look like, and
I mean, there's just, the single most important question is, there's no question that these are compatible with the hooks that are
that's what I
coming?
made sure. And I wrote specs that I sent out, and I said the model, the grabber that we're getting.
Both
that-
trucks are gonna have a grabber,
Yes,
right? The
yeah.
trash and the recycling?
Same kind, yeah.
And same grabber?
Yes.
Okay.
And
these
then I
compatible,
confirmed with this company that it'll work with that, because I said, look, that's what I wrote in the specification, I wanna make sure it's gonna work, and they assured me that it will. So, the lowest quote was 46.91, however, the minimum was 112 barrels of each color, and so we wanna get, like, one color's gonna be recycling and one is trash, so the minimum is 224 barrels, we don't need that many. We're gonna need more than what I'm asking for today, because I always say we're gonna try using some of the barrels we already have. We do have some, those old 55-gallon round barrels. And I think we have to try it out, and next year I may have to buy a few more, but right now we're looking to get 70 trash barrels and 46 recycle barrels. The total cost with this company, with estimated freight, now the freight might be a little different, but based on what they told me, it's about $8,210. Again, that's coming out of our program account. It's not coming out of the town budget. And so I think that they're not only the best price for what we're getting here, I think, but I like, in addition to all the stuff they sent in here, they have tests that they show that it'll withstand winds up to 40 miles an hour. I don't want barrels blown over at Jacobs Beach or the lids flying open, and they actually in here have certified tests with wind tunnels showing that these barrels withstand that kind of wind. So I was impressed with the detail that they sent us, and I think they're gonna be a good company. It's a 10-year warranty on the barrels too.
Rick, one of the things that has always been a slight frustration for me is the recycling barrels. You know, people, do they have like just, what is supposed to go in the recycling
So
barrels?
we're gonna-
Bottles and cans only? Does it have a round hole in the top?
It doesn't.
Part of my,
Yeah, what prevents
It's a
folks
good
from
point.
just dumping anything in there? And is there a sign or something that can be, this is what goes into this
the
barrel?
worst is when they, I'm gonna
Sorry.
let you expand.
On the barrel, in the specifications, I said on two sides, it's gonna say, and the top, recycle or trash, you know, whatever. 3 places it's gonna say it.
But it almost needs to say what is recycling. People don't know. You
Yeah.
see them standing there.
Well, Rick and I have had a discussion, and it's really disappointing, and I think, you know, maybe when we get later on with the sustainability thing, if the wrong thing gets thrown into a barrel, am I correct, Rick, in that barrel ends up being totally into the trash?
It's contaminated, correct.
Once you throw the wrong thing into a recycle barrel, it goes into the trash, and the whole barrel does not get recycled, which I understand the mechanics of having to deal with it on a day-to-day basis. But boy, talk about something where the public really needs some education, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, I just find it shocking. When you think about it, you can't ask, you know, can't be sorting it on the curbside as it's being dumped into a thing. But I mean, a little common sense. I mean, whether it be doggy bags or whatever, the minute something goes in there that is not recyclable, the entire barrel goes into the trash, and we lose all of that effort. That's something the public has to know.
Charlie, that's a great point, because I think people do a good job recycling at home. You know, you take it and you go to the transfer station.
It only takes
but in
one
the parks-
person, and everybody that worked hard to
Right.
recycle.
In the parks, though, I mean, I can tell you, I look at a lot of those recycle barrels, there's everything in there. And there's a trash barrel and a recycle barrel side by side, and it's clearly marked, and people just don't make the
You
right
know,
choice.
in a couple other areas where I'm involved, the barrel, and it's an almost impossible situation dealing with the public in this, but other than education, I do think
Right.
education could be a big part of it. But there is a way for the openings to not be as accessible to trash. In other words,
Yeah, they're
you know,
little round things with
yeah,
almost
they
like a,
run, they have slots, and, you know, it's almost impossible to do it on the sidewalk.
Yeah.
But I think we talk about social media and education and responsible public and everything, and I think an effort on that committee's part would really pay off, because it's so disappointing to hear that, but when you look into the practicality of asking employees to start sorting things on the sidewalk, on the curb, it's just unreasonable. I mean, whatever advantage we got of, you know, trying to get the job done,
Yeah.
and having to sort through other people's lack of courtesy or lack of responsibility. I mean, I'm sure some of those folks would be the first ones to say they recycle. Well, you don't recycle when you don't recycle.
Yeah. I think one of those question mark ones is styrofoam cups, like coffee cups. My understanding is those aren't recyclable.
I know.
And they go in a recyclable
With
barrel.
food containers and everything, I mean, that's,
what's the time limit on this? Like, how, do you have to get them this week? Like, where are we under?
Well, it's
for the
4 to
time
6
frame?
weeks to get them.
Yeah, I don't think anything we're talking about now is gonna change the fact that we need barrels.
Well, I know, I get it, but I mean, what is there, it looks like a lid that you just open. It's not having this little aperture that we're sort of talking about, which helps a little, and I gotta tell you, I'm not so sure that.
And changing the color probably isn't enough to make them different.
What I was gonna say is, I'm not so sure that the solution isn't just kind of bottles and cans only,
Yeah.
and a sign that says bottles and cans
Right
only.
on it.
That's what we're
Right where you
recycling,
put
and you have a
everything.
circular thing, and that's it. So I don't wanna gum up the works here, and I don't know that I have necessarily the answer.
I can find out, I don't know if the company makes just a little hole, I know what you're talking about. I know one company I saw.
Otherwise,
does, but
people
they're-
just don't understand what's happening,
Yeah.
and they're gonna, it's
Well,
gonna
at the
get.
very least, you
gummed
could
up.
add a sign that said bottles and
Yeah.
cans only, and that will help. And it would be better if people aired and put a recyclable in the trash than put the trash into the
yeah.
recyclable,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yes.
That's
So,
true.
Yeah.
if, at least this way you could order them, because I sometimes question what I'm throwing away as to which way it's supposed to go, so.
Well, I mean, that's the point. Maybe instead of saying recycle on the barrel, maybe I'll ask them, because it's gonna be called, it's hot stamped in, so it's like embedded in there. That maybe I'll ask, can they just put bottles and cans only?
Because
Just
what
put
other
that on.
recycling would there be in a park? You
I
can't
think
do
that's probably it. I mean,
pizza boxes.
Well,
Yeah.
to Sandy's point, there probably are some other things that could be recycled,
Sure.
but if you're sacrificing the whole barrel
Yeah.
over
It might be the better
a
compromise.
styrofoam dish or something, or,
Yeah.
you know, hopefully, you know, the merchants are gonna start evolving away from the styrofoam, but, you know, that's
It's a
impossible.
newspaper, I don't know.
Mhm.
I guess we're
Well,
sort of looking
plastic
for a
bags.
recommendation from you. I mean, we could approve of this, I think. Everybody's on, obviously you need them, but we'd kind of like to hear from you specifically what we can do.
Yeah,
to
I
try
think
and
we should pass this
improve
with the condition that
success.
Rick explores, more
compliance.
restrictive or customer friendly or
better
customer not friendly,
Yeah. Doesn't even need to be part of a motion,
alternatives.
just help us out
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
Get back to
Right.
us with, like, what you can suggest with all these ideas and anything else other people are doing to how we're gonna get just the right stuff in the recycling buckets.
Yeah, I don't see if anybody else has, you know, any of the communities have good success with this. But, you know, we actually went to Milford and looked at some of their barrel grabbers, and, you know, they do townwide pickup, you know, every resident and everything, but, and they said the same thing, that people don't recycle very well. It's a common thing, and I think that you're right, Charlotte, we can provide some education in whatever wording we can put on the barrels here to help, I think it'll help.
Yeah.
You know.
I think anything, yeah, because, you know, once you said that, I started, you know, being more vigilant and watching. I bet you there isn't a recycle barrel that you have to, that can't,
It's not.
that is perfectly recyclable.
Yeah, very few.
I'd really like to know whether we can get the circular hole.
Yeah.
That's kinda like.
You can't, unfortunately, you gotta force people to do the right thing sometimes.
Yeah.
Or try, or coax, or educate, or whatever the word is.
You know, the other thing I'll find, I mean, that's a good point about the hole, but the other thing I'd have to find out is there an issue with then rain getting in, and now, you know, with all the rain we've had, if the barrels start filling up with water, you know, does that make a mess in there?
It's a good suggestion, good question. I don't know.
Drill holes in the bottom.
Yeah, well, it's something we thought about too, yeah. Okay, but I'll look into all those things.
All right. So, where are we? Wait,
So
we
the
have to
company is
sit
Schaefer,
So moved.
Schaefer Systems.
I think it's been moved and seconded, we just need to.
8,210. Okay, any other questions, comments,
No.
everybody? All right, all in favor of
Aye.
the recycled barrels from program fee?
Aye.
Aye.
And when I do the PO, I'll get the, you know, for sure what the, they give me a better estimate on the cost of the shipping. That's the only, it's a little bit of a question mark. But it's
Okay.
gonna be around there, maybe $100, $200 more or less, I don't know. All right, thank you very much.
Thanks, Rick.
Have a great day.
Okay, everybody, so this brings us to item 6. Discuss and take possible action on an ordinance to amend the code of the town of Guilford, chapter 236, solid waste and recycling, prohibition of use by business establishment of single-use plastic bags as a result of the public hearing held on May 28th. Do we have a motion?
I'd like to make the motion.
I'll second it.
In favor of passing the ordinance?
Yes. Sorry, I thought you said that.
Maybe I did.
Yeah, you want to
So
comment?
we have a motion and
first?
second.
You want to comment first?
Yeah.
Your motion?
The turnout was amazing last week, and almost unanimously in favor of passing this. I think the one person who commented against it, the one brave person who actually voted against it in that straw poll at the end, said that he was not opposed to the concept or the elimination of the bags, just the fact that it shouldn't be a law. And I was at that same place, I think, when we first started talking about this. Why should it be a law? We all know what we need to do. Why can't we just get our act together, all of us, and do this the right way? And I made it my mission to do that myself, and I failed. I mean, I'm better than I was. But as First Selectman Hoy pointed out, it's easy to remember your bags when you go for that big grocery trip once a week. But you go into CVS to buy toothpaste, meaning to say no bag, and then you get looking at the candy bars. Next thing you know, you're walking out with a plastic bag. So I think that this absolutely needs to be done. It's an inconvenience. I think that we in Guilford tend to not like inconvenience, and people are able to take advantages of all the conveniences that we have available to us. And we just have to stop doing that in so many ways. I mean, combining trips to the store, not always buying the latest brand new thing. There's so many things we can all change our habits about. This is a relatively small one. And so I'm strongly in favor of our doing this.
And I just have to reinforce what Susan just said so eloquently, that, you know, I prefer less government. I, agreed with Bill, who made the point about, philosophically we're all on the same page. Unfortunately, we have to make laws, and that's, what somebody else pointed out that evening, that, it's unfortunate that we have to, but we're at the point where, we have to, if we're going to enforce things, we have to legislate, and that's the job of this board. And that's why I'm in full support of this, because not because I want more laws on the books, but because it's something that we all should be doing, but not enough of us are. And we're making it clear where we, as a community, and everyone showed up that night, and they made it very clear. I mean, this is where we want to be as a community, and that's this board's responsibility to demonstrate leadership and eliminating the excuses that we all make on a daily basis to do what's right.
Yeah, thanks, Charlie. Sandy?
I just agree, and I'm very happy that I think we moved on this fairly quickly for government, so I'm
And
very
I think
happy.
we ought to put, excuse me, but we almost didn't vote on this today because of your absence. Matt was so concerned that you wanted to weigh in, and
Oh,
we're
because I
glad.
wasn't at the hearing?
Right, and he was gonna put it off because he knew he was missing this meeting
Oh.
too. But we wanted to move it along, I think, because so
I've
many
always been
people
in
showed.
favor of it. I've
That's
always
what
been
we,
in favor of
that's
it.
what I pointed out that
Yes.
evening, and I think we ought to put on the record that Matt is very much in favor of
He
this.
is
So I
good
didn't get to that,
points.
but thanks for
Yes.
mentioning it, Charlie.
Okay,
Yeah.
and that's why we're doing it tonight, or today, without, the entire board here, but, that's our job of this board, to move things along, and a lot of people worked very hard to get us to this point, to get the ordinance written, to air it out in the community, to spell it out, and then I just felt that it would be not irresponsible, less responsible for us to delay it anymore. And because many times that evening it was pointed out that this is a first step, and by us voting to move it along this morning, just starts the follow up and research in the next steps, such as what we were pointing out a little earlier in the agenda about educating the public. People talked about how do we get the message out there, and well, let's use social media and whatever to get the message out there about responsible recycling now. It's not a matter of thinking about it and feeling good about it, it's actually doing it on a daily basis. I've talked too much.
Not at all. That's very, very helpful, and thanks. And I do want to reiterate that First Selectman Matt Hoey has championed this early on, and really is strongly in favor. He regrets not being here today. He's out of state, as I said. So he would be in favor of this and certainly would have voted for it. But I'll just mention that in his absence. I had one additional substantive comment, because I think it is helpful for people to come and, you know, express their opinions, and we did have some brave soul who did just that, and I tried to keep an eye on some of the other objections in social media and from conversations with folks, and one of the comments that I think is certainly valid, and I don't want to disregard any of the issues that people have in response to something like this, even though I am strongly in favor of it, but a lot of these bags are reused. A lot of people view that they're being responsible by in fact reusing some of them. Trash can liners and dog bags and cat litter, whatever. I mean, there's lots of ways these things can be somewhat handy, but there are options for that. And I did ask some of the folks who are championing this change, and there are ways to find replacements for those that are both slightly more environmentally responsible and also just have less risk of finding their way out into the environment. I mean, there are just so many of these bags. I ran the math, and it's somewhere in the neighborhood of like 2.4 cents per bag. I mean, from the store's perspective, it's almost no cost, and they double bag them, and they just put one or two things in, as you mentioned, Sue. And it's just so easy to get these, and they're in your car and are out a window. I mean, there's lots of ways these get out, and there's so many billions of them, not in Guilford, but around the world, that they just, they've become a hazard in their own right. So in any event, I mean, I'm aware of the objections. I think there's reasonable solutions to all of it, and the slight change in behavior that will be necessitated is worth it, in my opinion. So anyway, I'm in favor. Anybody else? All right, all in favor of passing the ordinance with regard to single-use checkout plastic bags? Aye. Anybody opposed? No? That's passed. Thank you, everybody. Brings us to appointments and resignations. First item is Alan Fairbanks and Joseph Nugent from alternate to regular members of the Conservation Commission.
So moved.
Motion.
Second.
Any discussion? No? All in favor?
Aye.
Jamie Stein, to appoint Jamie
Oh,
Stein.
there's-
Did I miss one?
I think so.
Did I say?
Oh, did we do them both together?
I think Joe Nugent,
Did them both?
those are
Okay.
both, those are
Okay.
together.
Okay.
Jamie Stein, as an alternate to the Planning and Zoning Commission for a term to expire February 28, 2023.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any discussion? No? Oh, fine, that passed. John Sullivan, as an alternate to the Economic Development Commission to fill a vacancy for a term to expire April 30th, 2020.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? No? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? No? All right, that's passed. David Davidson is an alternate to the Marina Commission to fill a vacancy for a term to expire May 30th, 2020. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? No? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No. Jason Marchi, to reappoint Jason Marchi as an alternate to the Planning and Zoning Commission for a term to expire February 28, 2023.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? No. No, I'm not opposed. Any opposed? Hearing none. Douglas Clark is an alternate to the Conservation Commission to expire February 28, 2020.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Act on a recommendation to reappoint Scott Edmond to the Planning and Zoning Commission for a term to expire February 28, 2023. Motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? No? Hearing none? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
You there?
Aye. I said
You-
aye.
You moved it. Oh, I didn't hear you, sorry. I can't believe there's this many. Does he have these all the time? Kit Wilcox, a recommendation to reappoint Kit Wilcox as an alternate to the Zoning Board of Appeals for a term to expire February 28, 2023.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? No? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. So, did I
Oh.
add the agenda item?
You did, we
did.
did add that,
You did
yes.
add the agenda. Interesting, it's the only one.
Yeah, so under new business, we added an agenda item for, that, place a sign on the green advertising Martine's Wake Up Picnic
I'll move it.
taking place April, June 14th.
I'll second that.
Okay, any discussion on that? No, all in favor?
Aye.
we will have, oh, we have one other item before we get to public forum, some old business, which is a matter that this board has already passed on, which is purchasing of streetlights, which is part of the overall energy conservation project, which we approved some time back, which is some bonding that's in place to allow Johnson Controls to make recommendations and to set up programs to save some energy through the town. And I guess streetlights, I gather these are LED
To the best of my knowledge, yes.
streetlights. And so, do you have anything else for us, Pam?
It's just that they have now come up with the purchase price, which was already, you had previously voted to spend up to $100,000, and the amount is $92,938.91. And that primarily it's a purchase of lights and not poles. There's more concerns when you purchase poles. So we got comfortable with the fact that it's, it's just like 3 poles being purchased, but everything else is lights.
So retrofitting existing
Right.
poles.
And I think Matt wanted to point out that the savings as calculated by our consultants was roughly $40,000 a year for the town. And that's it.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? It doesn't require action, it's just a report on something we've already set into place. Yes, Mary
I
Jane?
just wanted to make note on one thing that you said, it's a lease agreement, not a bond. You said bonding.
Oh, lease agreement, sorry. Thank you.
Just in case somebody were to pick that up,
Yes.
on the television.
Duly clarified, thank you. Okay, any other old business while we're on the topic? Any other new business? I didn't really give that a chance, anybody? Okay, we have public forum, it's now 9:12. Excuse me, no, sorry, public forum before we go into executive session. Anyone here in public forum? No, hearing none? Okay, so we do have 2 items on executive session. How do I do this, Pam? Do I actually read
You
what it
invite
is?
whoever for the first one and then the second one.
You have to decide, besides us, you have to say who's staying and who's going.
Okay,
Oh, are you in public forum?
yeah.
Yes.
You gotta help me with the names.
No,
I'm drawing a
you-
blank.
come
it's
on,
now or
this is-
never.
This is it.
Oh, public forum, okay. Sorry about that, I didn't see if you were flagging.
No, I wasn't planning to. Joe Keogh, Guilford Human Rights Advocate, I'm one of the people that met with you all about the Human Rights Commission. It was my understanding that the commission members were actually going to be nominated today.
I think that happened last meeting.
No, that was street,
No,
that was
that
the state
was-
streets.
right.
It's
This is
gonna be at
the-
the next meeting, because Matt wasn't gonna be present
Ah.
at
Oh,
this
I
meeting,
see.
so there was just some other things we had to go over. So it'll be on the next meeting.
Okay.
So thanks for catching an extra meeting.
No,
Yeah.
I'm glad the bad band got passed. That's
So
great.
the next meeting is the 17th.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
It's Joey, right? Jen. So for our meeting, we need Jen. Anybody else? I don't think
Mitch,
so.
probably, no, not Mitch,
No,
Mary Jane? No, she's off.
which one's first?
And,
I guess that's it, Jen.
yeah,
Go.
Mike, you're done. We're off. We're gonna go into, we need a motion to go
Wait,
into
wait,
executive
the
session.
woman-
You're up.
Executive session?
The first one isn't, the woman isn't here.
She's
No,
not
she's not here.
here, so can we switch them?
All right, I'll make a motion that we move into executive session.
Second.
Second. Did you have a question?
Should we switch the order then? This doesn't matter.
Yeah, I don't think it matters. There's 2
It's-
items. It's on the agenda, Berkovitz and Volpe.
Right.
We might as well do
And
Volpe first.
Mr. Volpe's here,
We'll
so.
do Mr.
But are we
Volpe
gonna-
first.
Mike is still here for the
Okay.
motion.
Yeah, we're just
Okay.
commenting what we're
Yeah.
gonna discuss when we're there.
Coming back for another.
Yeah, you do have to come back, because we're gonna have to just close the meeting. Thanks, Mike. I forget this.
Meetings just keep going and going. We're just so
Thanks,
good
Mike.
at what we do.
Can we have a motion to come out of executive session?
So moved.
Second,
Off
second,
line.
All in
sorry.
favor? Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. So, we discussed certain matters in executive session. We are taking no action on those matters today. Is there any other matter of interest before the board?
Motion to adjourn?
Second,
All in favor? Aye.
aye.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Okay.
Meeting's adjourned.